Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Sunday night coffee talk on the Radical Geek live stream. I see here that Hungry Heath was first. Hey, it's been a while since you've been first for this live stream. Then Blue Dove has joined us, and Hoofing It, Sharon, and Air Frying Auntie. Hey, Gretchen. Oh, you caught us at the beginning. And Rancan Cook. Oh, hi, Sky. Nice to see you tonight. Although we're actually not doing coffee tonight. Sky says that this will be a departure, watching something coffee related. They don't like coffee, but tonight we're not doing coffee, so it'll be awesome. Let's see, and Gigi's here has joined us. But you know what? It's okay. You don't have to like coffee to still learn things about it, because inevitably you'll run into people in your life that do love coffee. And then if you have some knowledge about it, it really gives you an upper hand. Plus, if you go out to a coffee place, they almost always have a variety of teas or other things that you can indulge in. Usually some beverages of some sort, or sparkling waters, all kinds of stuff. So that's all good. Plus, we pair it with a recipe usually. So some of the recipes I question, but most of the time they're pretty good. Oh, and Blue Dove says that they don't detest coffee, but they are abstaining from all plans until the cruise. Oh, all plants. I've got to learn how to maybe make the typing bigger, because I don't have the space like we saw on Two Crazy Ketos when they showed us their studio. They've got these big giant screens. Like, that would be amazing. Although I don't know where I would put it, because I'm just like in a little corner. So. And OP has joined us. Good to see you tonight. So, and just so you are aware, next week I'll be doing a live stream once again from a hotel. It'll be interesting. I'm going to try and use the hotel coffee machine, although I don't know what they have yet. We'll see. It's the Hyatt, and they've been going through a remodel. So they might have Keurigs, in which case it'll be, we'll have to be creative, but I will make sure that I take some Keurig devices to help dress it up, so I'm not using just like your regular old pod. So, yep, and Hoofing It just made the case there. They live with a coffee lover, and they do like the smell of coffee. And Air Fryer and Auntie adds that coffee is the one thing that they don't make in their air fryer. But are there things you could do with coffee in the air fryer? You could make a rub for a steak or chicken, or a salmon. Salmon can take a coffee rub, but not a lot of other fishes. Salmon and trout will take a coffee rub. I see J-Dog has joined us. So I have a few things here, and again, just as per usual, I've just like scattered everything here, so it's all chaotic and harder to follow that way. But so this week, instead, Air Fry Auntie says that she's not a hotel coffee pot user. Nope. And I concur that a lot of times I prefer not to, but I have had to travel on the fly or in an emergency. And so there have been times where it's just been, you got to do what you got to do. Or there was a time when I went to a hotel that I was familiar with. And let's see. Oh, that I was familiar with, but they had shut down their cafe and there was no coffee to be found. And so it was, do I go buy a whole new coffee device? Which, knowing my hoard at home was probably not like honestly, it probably wouldn't have been like the worst thing. Or did I figure out how to use the in the room machine? And I went within the room. So now I've got some stuff. Oh, hey, Sky says they sent me a message. Okay, I will check there. It's probably in the other machine, in the other folder. So I will take a good look at it. Oh, Reikwin's joined us, and Stwang, you're here. Nope, I've been shooting the breeze and I haven't even started doing anything we're supposed to be doing. I also didn't make notes tonight, so, disorganized chaos, which, is only a step a tiny step down from the organized chaos we normally have. So it'll be good. J-Dog says keto brownies using the espresso can be baked in the air fryer, but it might be weird. You know, I actually don't think it would be weird because you can use, they actually have special pans for the air fryer for brownies. And also, if you don't want to use those and you want a brownie that is maybe not as crispy, but more of that soft, well, Renee's not here yet anyways, moister cake, you can use the silicone pans in there. Get the one that you use for the egg bites, but use it for the brownies and use the cover on it so water doesn't get in there. And those actually come out really nice. So, and Caboodle has joined us, so that's great. So here's what I've got going on for us tonight. We've talked a lot, and I know there are people who don't do coffee on here, and actually we seem to have had a large quantity of people lately having issue with sleep and things like that. And so I actually have not nearly as extensive as coffee, quite a few tea things. We love tea around here, and more than tea, we actually love herbal infusions. They're a nice little flavor profile to have on a little bit different than usual. So, and I'm just checking the comments, so nothing too big of a deal here. So, but all right. So, anyways, so I thought that you know, it's nice sometimes to we'll do some of these herbal infusions, and I have there's quite a few things we can do. And actually, one of the earlier live streams we did blooming teas, which are super cool. So I thought. Also, I have a great opportunity to talk about one of our local companies, which is just a giant, bright, shiny thing. And because it's a pale blue, I don't know if, yeah, so it says Lullaby on it. You can read that part and you can see the can. But the company is called Foraged and Sown. And in the description, I did put their webpage address. They're a local company to me here in Ohio. They have herbs. And from the herbs, they make teas. They also bring in local salt, and they blend them with their local herbs and plants. They have one that's called a ramp salt, and it's locally grown ramps that they've mixed in with the salt. That is fantastic. I'm not anti-plant here, in case you hadn't noticed. So, that's a thing. Now, I am particular about the plants I do ingest. Like, I don't eat corn. I consider that a grain and things like that. So, oh, and Airfryer and Auntie has added that they are beginning to think they're in the category of able to drink coffee, caffeinated things, and go right to sleep. Yeah, a lot of times I find it very relaxing to have my cup of coffee before bed. But in this case, this one is a great one to start with. They have a lot of different varieties, and we enjoy most of them. But their flavor profiles are unique, which I enjoy. So I will get some information on the ramps for you. They are an early blooming of the onion and garlic plants. So. I'll get some for you, and we'll talk about that on another video. But so anyway, so this one is actually, it is a blend of chamomile, lavender, and basil. So it's not your typical inclusion of ingredients that you get in a lot of teas. And I've always liked that about them, that their teas are very unique, which, you know, it's nice to have something that's not the usual. Okay, we'll talk about, I see Sky is also asking about ramps. Yes, ramps are from the onion plant. So early in the spring, when the onions are just starting to come up and they have the early shoots before they bloom, you can trim them off and you get almost like a chive looking piece, but it's onion, not chive. And that's the ramp. And it has a very light, oniony flavor to it, but as you cut it, it comes up in the flavor I'll say it. It ramps up in flavor. I kill myself with these jokes. Anyways. But yeah, so let's see. Oh, and Skies mentions the coffee is a warm beverage from out of the Seattle persons. And I see, let's see, Reikwin has joined us. I thought I saw someone. Oh, hey, there's Glenda. Hi, Glenda. Good evening, and thanks for joining. So, anyway, so it's got chamomile, lavender, and basil. So, and then what makes that interesting, and by the way, I am not a doctor. I don't even play one on TV, nor am I a keyboard warrior doctor. So, nothing I say here is any sort of medical advice. Disclaimer. And also, here's the advice you can take. Don't take medical advice from people on the internet. I suppose maybe you can take medical advice from Dr. Barry. He's an actual medical doctor, and Dr. Silas, but even then, they have not seen you in person or looked at your medical records. So the advice that they give, take it with a grain of salt and talk to your own medical professionals. Gretchen's asking if the onion continues to grow after we cut off the ramps. And yes, actually they do. And they're really prolific. So you can't get rid of them, actually. Getting rid of onions, it's really hard. In our yard, there are onions everywhere. And we've been slowly introducing more thyme to the yard. And even that gets impacted by the onions. I pull them out in huge handfuls and get rid of them. And even at that, they come back every year. And I see exchange student has joined us. So I appreciate that. So let me talk about what a good herbal blend will look like. Let me pull some out and show you. I don't know if you'll be able to tell on my hand or not, but it's really big and fluffy. So if you see, it's a whole dehydrated kind of leaf. So, and let me get a flower, the whole little flower. So if you get an herbal tea and it's all chopped up and ground up, that's usually the remnants that companies buy for a lowered cost, that after they've sifted through the first rounds, lowered in quality and not as flavorful, with a couple exceptions. In this case, there's a lavender in here, and in here, since there is lavender, I do get the little lavender flowers, but there are also some lavender stems that you can't see because it's a teeny stick and it's just too bright from the lights. And that is because lavender stems have huge amounts of flavor and scent. So that's a primary thing. The other thing that you'll get on tea infusions, and this one doesn't have it quite as detailed as others, but you can look it up online in most tea places. Herbal infusions, don't put boiling water on it. It will bruise and damage the leaves and also make it a slightly dirtier flavor, which I know sounds weird, but if you've ever had something that had like that slight dust taste after the fact, too much heat being applied is one of those reasons. Same kind of reason where you would have, like if you have your tomato sauce and they tell you a low simmer, and so you have to simmer it like all day long, but you can't decrease the cooking time by just ramping up the heat, because then the flavor profile changes and it goes gross. So similar kind of thing. I see a lot of back and forth. I'm just going to let you guys continue to talk. Hey, and Cool Kid Keto has joined us. So it really smells nice. I love the way this the scent has blended together. That's another bonus. Anyway, so back to this. So they've named this particular blend a lullaby. And the reason they have done that is because of the chamomile, the lavender, and the basil all have properties to them that for some people, it can help them feel more relaxed or even make them sleepy or drowsy. So if you haven't had any of these particular herbs before in a brewed fashion, maybe don't do it before you're about to drive like for 8 hours. Wait until you get to the hotel, then try it out. So there are also current medical studies, and you'll know there's no information here. This is not medicine, although, as you know, sometimes some herbs can impact us in certain ways. So you do have to be mindful of what it is. But when people make claims that herbs can cure this or cure that or treat, those are not good words, and it doesn't do any of those things until they've done studies and proven that it does. In this case, they have proven that chamomile can impact your blood sugars. So it does impact them, and in a fairly large quantity of people. And I believe the study's out on PubMed, but I would have to look it up for sure. But it does show that the chamomile can help lower your medications. Not your medications, your blood sugar readings. Oh my gosh, I'm getting them mixing up my words. And basil and lavender also impact. It helps mellow you down a little bit. Not a guarantee, but there are studies on both basil and on lavender showing that that is the case. However, it's not enough that it can be a treatment for anything. It's stuff that they say can help if you already have an issue that you're taking medication for. For me, I don't know if I don't know that I feel that the studies show that they've had a big enough sampling to really prove anything other than maybe. But I do like the way it smells, and just the fact that I'm taking the time to relax and going through all of the ritual that goes along with making tea and buying tea and smelling tea and growing herbs. That is relaxing, so it probably does help you sleep from that kind of fashion. So I'll go back to brewing business. So as you can see, when I pulled that up, the pieces are large. Exchange student 2 is asking, is mentioning that Chris calls me Dr. Maitreya and asking if I got a degree recently. And I had my PhD for quite some time. It's in English literature. So I'm not a medical doctor, but I am published. I did the thesis, the whole 9 yards. So I mentioned that one time saying, well, I'm a doctor, but not a medical doctor. So, worth any advice I give is worth exactly the paper it's written on, which was a joke about being a writer. I'm not a writer because even after I wasted all that money getting my PhD, I've written one little textbook, and I've only had like a couple small short stories published like in the Alfred Hitchcock magazine many years ago, and quickly decided I could be really poor and destitute, or I could make something of myself and get an actual career. So I went with career and, not being homeless living in a van down by the river. So, but at any rate, yeah, and ironically, the other thing that I've had published are a couple of D&D modules for wizards. So, there you go. Hundreds of thousands of dollars down the drain just to write some D&D modules. And as it turns out, my favorite thing to do is to write little short stories and backstories to characters. So, maybe I could have made better choices with my life there. Oh, I see Rhonda has joined us, says she's going to be ear hustling from the television. Quarter end. Yeah, I feel you on that. We are there. So it's taken away actually because my role recently changed at work and I no longer have that stress. I have different stress, But I have my own controller now instead of me being a controller. And so she's being pulled away from helping me. And I'm like, oh, dang it. So anyways, brewing. Just to be sort of on topic. So I have my teapot. I brought the clear one down. But I will tell you that even though I brought the clear one because, you know, I love to use my clear stuff. It's not my favorite. My favorite teapots are from Teapots, and it's Forte, and you can buy them on Amazon. They have all sorts of different sizes. I buy the big honking 45 ounce teapots. So they're pretty awesome. So, but this, it does have the mesh filter. And so it's very easy because then you can throw your tea in, and herbal teas will tell you what they recommend for the size you're going to brew. And for me, I'm making a pretty sizable teapot and it's fluffy. So I'm putting 2 tablespoons in there. Give that a little shake down. I'm putting 3 tablespoons in there. Yep. And I just do it to sort of like to what my preference is, what kind of strength and stuff like that is. Now, the other thing I will tell you is when I mentioned about the herbs, how they can impact your digestion and blood sugars or help you relax, that kind of thing. You should know that it'd be super, super, super hard to ingest enough herbs to negatively impact you. However, not impossible. If you were to go super crazy and brew up like massively super strong lavender, first of all, it's going to be so nasty, it will probably make you sick. And you drank gallons and gallons of like super heavy duty extra strength lavender syrup, there's a good chance that you might lightly distress your digestive system. And really what's going to happen is it's going to make you throw up. So don't do that. Just have a normal amount, and a normal amount, you know, even if you drank like 3 pots of herbal tea a day, you're going to be more than fine. So anyway, so that's the tea. That's the herbal tea. I mentioned we don't use boiling water on tea. So I've got my kettle here, and I'm going to put it to 175 because I like it a little bit softer. And my pot goes to 175 or 195. If I put it to 195, I would let it drop down to about 185 because of the basil. So, but that's it. I'm just going to let my water come to, and then we'll put it in the pot and let it brew. Now, if you don't have a big pot like this with the wire mesh in it, if you have a pot and you want to use that on the stove, you can buy these fabric mesh bags. And actually, most of the forged and sewn containers, if you buy from them, actually come with one of these tucked in it. I'm pretty sure this one came with one of these containers. The other thing is from back in time is there's a loose leaf tea spoon, and it has holes in it. This would be for an individual cup of tea, and it just has a little thing so you can snap it closed. You'd put your tea in here, and then you'd put it into your cup, which that is what, where's my cup? Oh, there it is. As you can see, I have a little cup, so this is not going to work in here anyways. But you would use like a regular big sized mug to use one of these. Oh, J-Dog has to run. Well, we'll see you soon. I'll talk to you. I'll see you tomorrow, probably on Keto on the Couch. Enjoy the replay. Or they also have tea balls, which you can buy a normal tea ball. I have a silicone tea ball that's, it's too bright in the lights for you to see it, but it's shaped like a skull. And I think that's just absolutely freaking hilarious. But the tea balls have holes on the bottom and around the top. So you'd put your tea in there, drop it into your cup, and then you would pour the water over it. And it would seep through in there. Now, these are again for individual cups, not for whole pots. So you would use these because you need the room for the tea to expand, which is why you can't cram enough tea in here for a whole pot, and then it wouldn't have enough room to expand. And the herbs do, as they rehydrate, expand into your pot. My water's ready, and then we'll take a moment and I will go through the comments because I see they're rolling by. But you just pour your water in to the level that you are brewing, and in this case I'm going to go not completely full because otherwise it will come out the spout. And then we just cover it up and we let it steep, usually about 5 minutes or so. And I'm going to set this tea here and try not to spill it because that would be just like me. And I actually found my little stand, and what I've got down here is a little tea light candle, and you can light that and keep it going to not so that your tea doesn't cool down too much while you're drinking. So we'll go ahead and do that so we can be fancy. And also fire. Yay, fire. All right, so I'm satisfied with that. Let me put that over here to the side. So anyways, that tea light is more than enough heat to just keep things at a constant temperature. So no worries there. And it won't show enough on the screen because of the bright lights. But you should know that in person, you can see already a very, very pale. Now, herbal teas are very, very pale in look, but I can see that the water here has changed a little bit of color. So it'll take a little bit. All right, let me get into these comments here. Oh, and Sky says, those of us who are gamer geeks appreciate the contributions. Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. So, and Blue Dove says they would write thousands of words in role-playing too, but can't write a book to save their life. Exchange Student 2 appreciates the explanations. And Sky is asking if I leave my teas in the metal containers they come in, or do I transfer them to some other type? So in these metal containers, I leave it in here because it's actually a tea storage container. It has the airtight lid, so it's sufficient for storing the tea. You can see it brings it down and seals it in. If it's loose leaf in a bag, I take it out and then I put it into a tea storage. And most of my tea storage containers are metal, but I also do have some little glass jars. I like the metal because it keeps the light out. And when the light stays out, I feel I don't have any reason to believe that this is a thing, but I feel like the light would diminish the quality of the herbs. So let's see. Oh, let's see. Oh, and Sky likes the tea ball. Oh, Strong is saying thanks for a reminder for keto on the couch. That's awesome. Raikkonen says they have a double glass travel mug that has a mesh screen in it, so it's easy to make tea and take it with you. Oh yeah, I've seen those, and I kind of have wanted one, but I have a lot of stuff, and so it's just been lower in priority for a kind of acquisition. So what I'm going to do now is, foolishly, I've set this up, and now I want to move it. So bear with me just a minute while I make some adjustments here and slide things around on the table, making sure that I don't make a huge mess, even though I'll probably make a huge mess. There we go. The fact that I didn't spill that is amazing. However, now that it's off, you can actually see, or at least I can see on the screen, that it is infusing and no longer plain clear water. By the way, just like coffee, filtered water. And let's see, exchange student says they made yogurt in the Instapot yesterday, and it was easy until they had to finagle straining because I don't have a yogurt strainer. But a lot of regular strainers from making the kombucha. Oh, cool. Actually, and I'm not sure what kind of strainers you have, but if you have cheesecloth, you can double up the cheesecloth and put it into a mesh strainer, and that will also work just fine. All you do is make sure that you cover it so it doesn't dry out on the top while it's draining. Boy, I wish I had my cloth here. The other thing too that you can pick up that works great for straining yogurt is I know I said cheesecloth, but I actually have cheesecloth. And I don't mean like the kind that I was just talking about, cheesecloth that you wrap stuff in. That's like a very wide open mesh. They actually look like linen napkins, and that's actually for making cheese. So, and they are not fine. They really look very much like a regular napkin, a regular linen napkin, like the red ones that I have here, but only they're just the plain muslin color. So they're that kind of solid. And you can put you can line your strainer with that and then put your yogurt in there. It will take much longer to strain, but it will actually be quite effective. You can even fold it over and give it a little bit of a squeeze too. Yes, Sky, nut bags is exactly what it is, only these are not bags. It's just the plain napkin without the tie on it. So, and I know I love the term nut bags. And I see Tim has joined us. Better late than never. But it's 7 o'clock, so let's talk about some of the other things that we have. I mentioned today that I was going to have a little bit of salad and sauteed shrimp. I was just posting because I was amusing myself. I actually smoked a bunch of pork today because it was on sale at the local grocery. So we have smoked chicken thighs and smoked pork. But I pulled it off and then I shredded it. Not all of it. I shredded a bunch of it. And it just smelled so good that I had to go back into Chronometer and readjust all my food for the day. So now I'm only having a little snack tonight instead of my actual dinner because I wanted the pork right after tearing it up. But let's start with the dressing and adjusting our greens. So I have in this bowl greens, which are reflecting strangely. Oh, it's the green screen effect. So you can't actually see the greens. But let me throw some on the table. But so I buy at Costco powder greens because I like the mix and I like the flavors and I like the vitamins that are in these particular round of greens. So it's got the shard, baby shard. It has kale and baby spinach, and I forget what else it has in there. Some baby something else, but I don't remember what it is. But mostly it was the shard, the kale, and the spinach that I really like. It's a bit earthier in flavor, but tasty to me. So. And with the greens, I thought we would just make a quick vinaigrette because I can use that for multiple days. And vinaigrettes are stupid easy, you guys. You can pretty much experiment with the flavoring quite a lot. So, yeah, so anyways, but what I've got here is my avocado oil. I meant to get olive oil, but I wasn't paying attention when I put it in the bowl, and I'm like, well, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Olive oil might taste better, but the avocado oil will also be just fine. You're going to put equal amounts of avocado oil and filtered water. I know that seems counterintuitive because oil and water don't mix, but wait. And it will eventually emulsify. I'm going to set that water aside. And then what I have here, you can use minced if you want, or diced, but I have garlic paste and I have pasted herbs. You can make your own by just simply throwing it together into a bullet blender, or by using the molcajete and hand grinding it with a little bit of oil. Same thing for the herbs. You just paste it up with a little bit of oil and salt in there to bring up the flavors. And those are your paste. They also sell them in the grocery in tubes, and those are really great and also super easy to work with. Or if you go to the international grocery, a lot of different places have a variety of pasted foods that you can use. But I chose garlic and herbs because that is the profile that I like. And so I put the oil and the water and then the herbs and the garlic, because those are, and it does actually matter which order you put these in. In this container, I have about a teaspoon each of salt, pepper, and ground mustard seed. So I'm going to put half of that in here. And in a few minutes, I'll explain why this was what we went with and how it's going to tie everything together. Set that there. Then the next thing, it is a vinaigrette, which means you need vinegar. Experiment with your vinegars and find which one you like. But my preference is the apple cider vinegar because I like the way it tastes. Now, I do like to buy the Bragg brand because it's cheap at Costco. I mean, let's be honest, that's the number one reason. But also, it has what they call the mother in there, which I think gives it a slightly sweeter and slightly tangier flavor profile. However, yeah, so that's why I like this one. Despite lots and lots and lots of claims about apple cider vinegar being good for you, and evidently it's some kind of miracle juice that will cure everything, there are no medical studies that say that that's true here. Zero. So there's a surprise. Now, the one thing it can do is if you have real bad heartburn and like acid reflux, acid on acid neutralize. So it can help with that. If you have a very, if you get sore tongue, like a geographic tongue, if you don't know what that is, I would say maybe don't Google it, but it's an irritation of the tongue that you get from too much acid and from acid reflux and that kind of burning. In that case, eating some foods with the apple cider vinegar or plain yellow mustard, those kind of things can help ease that up because of the neutralizing factor of the acid on acid. Anyways, I'm not measuring in here, so everything you do is for your personal taste. You don't want so much vinegar that it makes it taste bad, but you do need a hearty amount because it is vinaigrette. However, despite the acidy content and the flavor profile from the vinegar, I don't like just vinegar, and we're also mixing several things together. So I'm also adding a couple tablespoons of lemon juice. And honestly, that's probably more because I really love lemon juice than any other reason. But that is all you do for vinaigrette. And then you whisk it all together. And adding that acid after the fact helps the water and the oil emulsify together. It will not stay emulsified. So even if you put it in the blender, it will separate back out. That's why they often have like those shaker bottles so that you can shake it up beforehand. If you store it in the fridge, which you probably should, it will sometimes solidify, so you got to take it back out. All that kind of fun stuff. So, but everything that I did, it didn't make a huge amount of vinaigrette, but it did make more than I would use tonight. So that's fine though, because I have salad tomorrow. And that is all there is to vinaigrette, which is why it's such a great thing. And it does have some carbs because there's the lemon juice and the vinegar. but that's not a lot, and you're not going to use a lot. You wouldn't drown your salad in vinaigrette like you do with like maybe like a blue cheese or a ranch dressing. It would really quickly become too much. So, but we'll go ahead and we will set this to the side, and I'm going to now dress the greens. That's what that's called when you put that on. And all I'm doing is, which by the way, it's a half a serving. This little bowl, this not unsizable bowl is about half full, and it's half a serving. Green servings are actually really large because they don't weigh a lot. So you can actually fit in quite a lot. So it's about 1.5 carbs. A full serving of greens is like 3 carbs, 3 or 4, depending on what you put in them. You just spoon it on there. I guess I'm having about 3 tablespoons, and that's plenty. And you just give it a nice little toss to get all of the greens, and then we'll set it aside because we will have it with the shrimp in a few minutes. And actually, when you add the acid to your greens, it's sort of like it helps them wilt down too. Kind of like if you marinate stuff and you put the acid in it, it'll partially cook like seafood. So you do have to be mindful of that. All right, I see there's a lot of comments here. Oh, and then Rancan Cook says the first thing to get loaded into the 5th wheel was the coffee and all the items for the coffee bar. 100%. That's how you got to travel. And for some reason, Hungry Heath thought I said baby shark. Nope. So, no, I did not. You could marinate shark in a vinaigrette, though, and then it would be quite tasty when you cooked it. So, and Gretchen is saying they get Bragg's nutritional yeast. It's a yellow flaky stuff that tastes good on things. Kind of a buttery, nutty flavor. Yeah, I don't buy Bragg's, though. I buy Anthony's because it's cheaper and, I don't know, it's a real word, flakier. And I use the nutritional yeast in my protein egg bread. However, I've also tossed a little sprinkle on the top of a pizza before, but I don't think it would be good on the chicken crust pizza. Usually on the, again, with the PSMF or one of those egg breads. So I'm just going to set my vinaigrette to the side for later to clean up. And it's too bad about the green screen because I can't show you how the greens, well, sort of, maybe you can see a little bit. They've shrunk down significantly. So they will continue to do their thing. And now for the shrimp. You will not believe how it's so easy to cook shrimp, you guys. But in matching with the flavor profiles, I've got my pretty hearty greens with that vinaigrette. I've also got that same garlic paste and that same herb paste with a tablespoon of butter. So I am dropping this in there. So the nutritional yeast is keto friendly. However, there are people who are sensitive to it. So again, that's going to be one of the things. You try it and see if you like it. So let's see. Let me turn the heat on to kind of start melting the butter and the herbs and garlic together. You want to melt them, but you don't want to bring them up to sizzling. And that'll take a couple minutes because, like always, it's super cold down here in the basement. But it's going to melt pretty quick. And you just want to be able to let the butter infuse with those flavor profiles. Now, you might be thinking, we're making a salad. That's it. That's the recipe. So there are reasons. And we'll talk about those while that melts down. And the reasons for that is because we're having the herbal tea. And herbal tea is going to be overpowered, hugely overpowered by something heavy meaty, or like a steak or a greasy fish. Those are all things that would not benefit the herbal tea. However, herbal tea super pairs lovely with light desserts, like a panna cotta or something like that, or a very simple sort of cake, but not a heavy cake, and certainly not something like a heavy frosting or a cream cheese, and not so great with cheesecake because that will definitely overpower it. But light seafoods like scallops or shrimps or halibut, trout might be pushing it because it starts to get into that heavier, fattier fish. So let's see. Oh, this guy says if flakier is not a real word, it should be. And he says he's never cooked shark, but now he wants to. And Gretchen says they expect shark might be meaty like swordfish. It is. Shark can get weird and it's really hard to get right. It can get tough really fast, which sounds weird for a fish, but it can absolutely get tough on you quickly. So my butter is already melting and it was a little too sizzly, so I've turned it down. Sizzly is another one of my awesome words. I've got to actually take it off the heat a little bit. Oh, that's why. It's definitely way too high. Because I don't want it quite that heavy. I do not want it to get to browned butter stage, nor do I want my garlic paste to burn. Garlic paste cooks faster than minced garlic, and definitely faster than sliced garlic. So you want to be careful of that, and you don't want to infuse that into it. So the next thing you're going to do, now that we've gotten it going, is I'm going to dump my shrimp in there. And these are the red Argentine shrimp that we got. They're actually, you know what? I really hadn't seen a lot of the red Argentine shrimp until like mid last year. They were never the shrimp in the stores. Now they're everywhere. So I'm not sure what changed in the supply line that brought that up, but it is what it is. But we're going to let these shrimp cook most of the way. Not all the way, most of the way. And then what we do is we're adding the same flavor profile that we did to the vinaigrette. So that's how it's going to all match together. So the salt, pepper, ground mustard, and then we will splash a teeny bit of lemon juice on it. And then at the end, we will add some chili flakes. The chili flakes really boost everything up together. And on top of that, they also match all the way across the line with our herbal tea. Let's see. Gretchen says they can smell the cooking through the monitor. It does smell nice. I love the way garlic smells when it's cooking, especially with butter. And the other piece that I'd like to mention, though, the other reason for the paste is that it does infuse better with the butter than the other does. And it mellows down quicker and gets more of that nutty, roasty, garlicky taste, which is why you don't need to brown it, and instead you're just making it soft. So I can't seem to get the flame right tonight. There we go. It's either too high or it goes out, but we'll figure it out. Now, this is the flat iron pepper Asian red. I chose the Asian red because I feel that it matches better with all of the flavors. The Asian peppers and the flat iron pepper are nice and bright, and they've got a little bit of a tart to them, but not bitter or anything like that. I transfer all of my flat iron peppers into their grinders, and a lot of times I use ground, but for this finish, you want to use the actual flakes. So let me open it up, and of course there's a bunch in the top, so they spilled everywhere. No! But those will come in at the very end because you just want the little bit of top. And by the way, shrimp cook really fast. I caution you about overcooking them. You'd also, I know you don't want to undercook them, but you definitely want to make sure you don't overcook your shrimp because then they become little rubbery pucks. And you want soft and tasty, well-coated shrimp, not little rubber pucks. So we bring this off the heat now. You can see how they are looking. So they come and just like right down where they've been deveined, they just start to curl up a little bit. If they get like super curly around the edge there where you've removed the vein, you definitely you've gone too far. You want it to be soft, maybe just barely starting to do a curl. All right, and from there, I didn't make very many shrimp, so I don't need that much of the seasoning, just a small quantity, which is good. So you add that on the top, you give it a little swirl to thoroughly coat everything. Then you add your lemon juice, which gives a little bit of sauciness to it. Not a lot of lemon juice, just a smidge. Exchange Student 2 agrees, no overcooked shrimp. And I will show you, I don't know how it'll look, but you can see, even with that little splash of lemon juice, I didn't get like a lot of liquid. It's kind of almost thick and saucy. I guess I can't quite show you without spilling, so I think I would prefer not to spill onto my table. Sorry about that, guys. I'll try next time. But now that I've completely removed it from the heat, here's where I'm going to go with my chili flakes. I just need a little bit because there's only a couple, and you don't want to overspice and blow out your palate. But the flakes really bring out all of the taste from everything. You guys have chili flakes everywhere, which is kind of a delightful thing. At any rate, that is the meal for today. Bring those out. You put your greens. So you can sort of see the greens on the screen. Not like super fantastic, but you do your greens. And then you go ahead and you serve up your shrimp. You can put them right on the salad if you want, but because I dressed the greens, I'm having my shrimps on the side. And if you're keto, don't forget your delicious sauce because that's where your extra fat is. And as we all know, fat is good flavor. And here we go. So again, you get a nice green screen on the greens, but you can see the shrimp and how nice they look. So at least there's that. And invisible weird greens. So that's it. And then now I'll show you a little bit more about the tea. The tea, as you can see now, has gotten a nice color to it. I am serving it in this double-walled. It's a very small glass, so you can have multiple glasses of the tea. That's why we need to keep it warm over here for serving. But tea is an experience. And we've talked about these before when we did the blooming tea, but just in case, this is a double-walled glass that suspends the tea in the middle. The reason you do that is because it holds the heat in without burning your fingers. A lot of teacups are just single-walled, so when you're putting the really hot tea in there, it permeates out. Also, that tends to cool down the tea too much. It also lets you get a good smell because the steam rises up, and you really are, that's part of the tea drinking experience, is to really get in there and enjoy the scent. And I do see that there's been a lot of comments, but the number one comment that I see down here below is that Sky is asking is if I find the flavor profile of the tea changes to more bitter if it steeps too long. So for some teas, yes, and for other teas, no. It is absolutely true that real soon I want to remove this filter because it will get too strong. And then it will go into that not as pleasant a taste. But it should be fine for this evening. We don't have that long in there. Probably I would like to. But that's part of the experience. It's part of the relaxation. It's part of the whole nine yards right there. If you get in here, and that's why these little tea glasses are a big thing. And just like the coffee, it's the same technique for tasting as you do with the coffee, which is a loud slurp where you bring it through your lips and your teeth into your mouth so that it gets aerated and then permeates a large portion of your mouth. And as you go back and forth, as always, your water goes in between. So tea, water, food, water, tea. Oh, thanks, Sky. Sky says they really like the cups. And Gretchen is mentioning my invisible food. It's the best, though. I really love the green screen effects. They amuse me to like no end. So even if it's not like the greatest for video, it's never going away because I think it's so funny. Let's see. And then Caboodle says that where he is, the crappies are just starting to bite. They're not the same as the shrimp, but you take what you can get. Hey, yes. Where I grew up, rainbow trout was what was plentiful. So we definitely ate a lot of trout growing up. So the greens are nice and bright, especially from the vinegar and the citrus. And Sharon says they're going to shop for shrimp tomorrow. I don't blame you. I love shrimp. But you do have to add fat to them because they're super lean. So you have to add your fat to them for if you're following a ketogenic diet. But they are an amazing protein profile. Oh, and Gretchen says they grew up in Cape Cod. I knew that. I often forget, but I did know that. And so Gretchen loves scallops and fish in general. They came out perfect. I got lucky. And Hunger He says that the Argentinian shrimp do seem to cook quickly. They do. Most shrimp cooks quickly, but I think you're right. I think these cook even more quickly than the white ones. The white ones take a little bit longer. And then your average generic shrimp that I don't know what they are, they're just shrimp. Those do take even longer. And then Exchange Student is asking if I do 2 meals a day and if I officially track 2. So sometimes yes and sometimes no. I'm going to say like most of the time, the answer to that is yes. On days when I go out for a bicycle ride, the answer is I eat as many meals as I need to because it's often dependent on what my body needs as we go along, and I take enough for multiple meals. And I say meals, but like if I go from here to one of the parks, and by the time I hit like 10 miles, I'm like usually I desire a snack. So I will, and that is when I do allow myself keto products. So I like to take those perfect keto cookies. They're terrible cookies, but they are excellent snacks and excellent on a heavy duty cycling day. So, but most of the time I eat a big breakfast. I love my first meal of the day. And I will usually eat a large one, which then holds me through because the day is meeting. There's not a lot of free time in between. And so I don't. And then I eat another meal later in the afternoon, which is usually keto chow with a little side of something, maybe another little bit of salad or a piece of cheese or something like that to finish it off. So that's my average day is 2 meals a day. Sundays, I do not too mad because I like to have something to eat here on the live stream. And I still do my main meal in the morning, maybe a little smaller than usual, which means I am hungry for my afternoon piece. And so today I ate my morning meal, which was a little bit of chicken and some a cream dip for it. Then later in the afternoon, I ate my keto chow and some of the pulled pork that I had made on the smoker today, because you have to test things while they're fresh off the smoker. And then now I'm having this. But yes, I do measure. I had actually gotten kind of sloppy about it lately, though, and been missing days. And so since everybody are doing tracking things, and I got labs back from the doctor's office who said my vitamin D was low and my sodium was kind of questionable, which shocks me because I ingest so much sodium. And my vitamin K was low. So I decided that making sure I was getting back on track would be good. Plus, I had a little accident recently. So I definitely needed to just get strict with everything and start looking at the nutrient breakdown of everything I was eating. And so even just a few days in, I've noticed that it's very helpful. And it's sort of tidied up, and now I don't not lying to myself about like having a snack here or this cookie there or this taste there, because I've written it down, and it does kind of help keep me accountable to myself. And I've noticed that, I definitely needed the extra electrolytes, so it worked out well. Gretchen is asking how I tell when shrimp are cooked enough. Yeah, they should no longer be translucent. They should look sort of solid. And they should start to kind of like squeeze up just a little bit in their look. But just as they just start to get just a tiny bit firm, you immediately need to make sure that they get off the heat. Because they, just like all food, they'll continue to cook in the heat, even if you take them all the way off. And like I said, where you've deveined them, it splits. And so that split will tighten up, and just the very edge will start curling up a little bit. So I have a really, really, really ancient Pit Boss. Like, it's not one of the new ones. It has no Wi-Fi or anything like that. So it's just a side load pellet. I don't even remember which model it is. And we got it to replace a gas grill, which, obviously was not as tasty. But we were actually going to shop for a new grill, and I had wanted a new smoker because the other smoker we have was wood coal, and all 100% manual. Like, it just had like a place where I could put the coals under, and then we added grates to it so that we could elevate the food over the coals. And that was all 100% manual. But we got the Pit Boss because I actually won it off of YouTube. So otherwise, had I been left to my own devices, I would have ponied up and taken and bought a Yoder. Possibly Rectech, but Yoder would have been my first choice. So I find that the quality is better. And already the Pit Boss, I'm glad that I won it in a giveaway because honestly, it's already getting some rust, and I take pretty good care of it. So that is rather annoying. But I also didn't pay cash for it, so, I'm not going to complain too much. Exchange student is asking how often I use my smoker. If I use it about once a week. And it depends, because since it's a pellet smoker, it actually can go up in high temperatures and be used as a grill. So we actually use it a lot of times just to grill things. And I actually really enjoy the flavor from it for grilling. But I would say that we use it at least once a week, a lot of times twice. But that's just for the smoking of foods. If we're grilling, several times a week. And Sky agrees, winning stuff that we use is a definitely a benefit. Yeah, because we were suffering through, for smoking, the manual stuff was fine. I actually really love it, and I love the whole sitting out there tending your coals for hours on end, enjoying the sunshine and all of that stuff. But yeah, but like for like fast cook, just throwing like a burger down on the grill and getting it done, you weren't going to spend like an hour and a half getting your coals just so. And we had a just your old-fashioned propane grill, and during one of the windstorms, even with the wheels locked, the wind picked it up and threw it into the yard and busted it up. So we had to get a new one. And so it was sort of like just timely that we won the Pit Boss, which, like I said, meant we didn't have to actually pay for a new grill. But there I was a little bit like, oh, well, I can't justify buying a better grill when I just got one for free. So we'll use it until it rusts through, and then I'll buy what we actually want. And Sky says they have a Bradley that they use to make about 3 pounds of jerky every week. And Sharon has a Rectech. I think Rectechs are awesome. I just swallowed wrong. Give me a minute. I'm supposed to eat my lettuce, not inhale it. That's painful. So anyways. And then Caboodle has mentioned that Karen's favorite are the peanut butter perfect keto cookies. They're dry, but so easy to take on a bike ride. That's exactly what it is they just fit in the pocket so perfect. So, and honestly, in the sunshine, and then you're drinking down your water, and those cookies just go down like super easy. They never upset my stomach. So, I'm a big fan. And they're not so delicious that you want to have more of them for just having cookies. No. And Sky says they like the convenience of pucks. The pellets drove them crazy and was hard to travel with. Oh, see, we don't really do any traveling with the smoker, so we don't have to worry about that part, which is nice. I don't want my infusion here to get like too out of hand, so I am now going to remove there's supposed to be a little handle here somewhere, but I can't find it. Well, oh, there it is. I'm just gonna get rid of this so it does not overbrew. And that's the other nice thing about these is almost all of them will remove. Get the liquid out of there. All right, and then Exchange Student is asking if I've done a carnivore elimination diet. So I know that carnivore is highly recommended and stuff like, and a lot of people super love it and do really well on it. I actually really felt disgusting on the carnivore diet. My stomach hurt so bad, and it just I don't know what it was, but it didn't work out for me, and I don't know why. But I got really just like, it was very uncomfortable for me, and I don't know if it was because of the cycling or and when I say cycling, I mean riding my bicycle, because we were riding it pretty hardcore last year when I decided to try a little stint of carnivore. It was certainly tasty enough, but even man, it didn't sit well with me. So I had headaches real bad, and not just from low electrolytes, because I got labs and everything because I was really struggling. So I think that it is great plans for some people, and there are some people where it's just not the thing that's going to work for them. So that's why a lot of it is self-experimentation. Gretchen says that when they first heard that I did the keto diet, they thought, what an exotic diet, that I must eat a lot of weird stuff, but smoked pork and sauteed shrimp. Yeah, honestly, I buy products because I am, mostly because I'm lazy at times and just want some no fuss, no muss. But a keto diet doesn't need any actual products, and it's super easy to do because it's really just very simple protein. It's meat and cruciferous vegetables and leafy greens. So and that would be what a standard keto diet is. A little bit of dairy, but not a lot. I probably eat more dairy than average. Mm. And Sky says since they live in an RV, their smoker goes where they go. That makes sense. I've thought about an RV just for going places. Because I thought it might be kind of handy. But I don't know if I would get a little smoker to take with me for that, or if I would get the small flat top griddle. I think that I like the taste of smoked foods, but the griddle is just so easy and fast. So I don't know, 50-50 on what I would do there. Yeah, so anyways, the lavender basil chamomile blend from here goes super nice with the citrus and the light of the seafood. So again, that's a whole pairing thing and learning how to blend your flavors together. I'm going to let this cool down and not worry about the tea light anymore. Let's extinguish that. Maybe. There we go. Snuffed it out. So. Oh, and then Sky mentions that the Bradley is good for the travel because it's about the size of the dorm fridge. Yeah, that is handy. Oh yeah, and Caboodle's asking more questions about the loin strips for the jerky. If you just do it low and slow. Yeah, I've never made the pork loin jerky. Or at least not on purpose. No, I haven't made a pork loin jerky. That might be interesting. I have made a lot of different kinds of beef jerky and a lot of deer jerky over the years. And I made a chicken jerky, and it tasted all right, but I'm not the biggest fan of the chicken jerky. I don't know. Just didn't do it for me. But yeah, pork is definitely more economical than beef. And I've also never made salmon jerky, but I bought salmon jerky that was phenomenal. And Sky says to make that they just cut it into about 1/2-inch strips, marinate it overnight, and pop it in the smoker for about 5 hours. Cool. We might have to try that. We love jerky here. So. All right. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I've forgotten in the meantime. So, by the way, I'm going to be in a hotel next week. And not a nice hotel with, well, I mean, it's a nice hotel, but not a suite. I could not get a suite for this particular stage. I'm going to be at a gaming convention called Buckeye Game Fest. It's one of my favorites because it's super teeny tiny. It's not even 1,000 people. So you really get to mingle with everyone, get to know people. The people genuinely want to play the games that you want to play. So I really... And it's very mellow. Like, you go to Gen Con, and Gen Con is, like, super intense because it's 60,000 people, and go, 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 go. And everything is really, really full, crowded, and really highly active. This is really very social and light, and you know, it's like all people you know or get to know, and it's very easy to get people to come and play with you. So I really like it. Gretchen mentions that oily fish tend to be ocean fish. Yes, this is true. I used to like to fish in New Hampshire and catch bluefish, but bluefish they're very easy to improperly cook because of how greasy they are. They are oily fish, and a lot of people really hate it, but really, actually, the bluefish would be great for keto because in order to counteract the oily, greasy, fishy flavor, the answer is salt. A good salting and drying and brining of the bluefish really picks it up and uplifts it. Then you use a lot of citrus with it. Oh, thank you. Sky says they really enjoyed having dinner with us all. So, yeah, I like that. I really enjoyed that about the live streams. And I know it's a little bit early, but I have to be up and working extra stupid early tomorrow, more so than my usual stupid early. So I think I'm going to go ahead and end the live stream. I know it's 7:46, but it's only 15 minutes. Oh, and Exchange Student 2 wants to know what cheese I'm going to do on Friday. I have to keep that one a surprise. I got a special cheese. But it's interesting. I got it. It's actually a cheese from Costco. So if you have Costco, you'll see it before I do the Friday. But because it's in their stores now, they just swapped it. It's a brand new one. I've never tried it before. And even it must have been really brand new in our Costco too, because when I went through the checkout, the cashier was like, "Whoa, what's this cheese?" And then the person bagging was like, "I don't know. I didn't even know we had it." So it'll be fun. So I figure if it was surprising the cashiers, they hadn't had time to look at it. Yep. Also, see you guys. I'll see a lot of you tomorrow. And Sky, I promise I'll check and look in my other box for messages, and then I'll get back to you. All right, have a good one. Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.